I recently had an interesting thought. What was Prime Spock up to after he left at the end of the 2009 Star Trek movie? This, for me, is a wonderful chance to use my vast knowledge of the original series to come up with some ideas of what Spock may have been doing. TNG will not be part of this list because it is hard to know what Spock may have known about those events. Number 1. Talos 4 from the Cage. The first world to consider would be Talos 4 from the Cage, a somewhat problematic world since in this reality, Pike is not there and they don't know who Spock is. Spock would have to gain their trust. Overall, there's not much reason for such a visit. We don't even know that Vina would be there, since the ship she was on was lost in 2236, according to Memory Alpha, and the alternate timeline Spock found himself in started in 2233, so it's possible they never got stranded there in the first place. Also, Spock would have to risk becoming a prisoner himself. Number 2. The Paradise Planet from Shore Leave. This one would be a much better choice because Spock already knows rules. He could land and not worry about the dangers since those come from not understanding what the planet is about. He could also contact the guy who runs the planet to see if he can help him out. Number 3. The Unknown Planet from the City on the Edge of Forever. Now here comes the most potentially questionable one since time travel is tricky. But the biggest clue to Spock not going here is the continued existence of the timeline. If Spock was thinking straight, he would use the time machine to fix the timeline. The best reason he might not is for the lack of a plan to stop Nero from destroying the Kelvin. Well, that could be achieved by calling them away from the encounter with Nero. Maybe having a distress signal that would override the investigation of this storm in space. But then he would have to deal with Nero, whose technological powers still outdoes the Federation. Number 4. The Asteroid from Metamorphosis. Now, he could go back to the asteroid from Metamorphosis and meet Seth from Cochrane again. This would actually give him the potential of being young again, but until Cochrane tells his companion he needs other people to not die from loneliness, it is questionable if he could even land. And when that day does come, he would need to figure out how to exit the situation. But at least this time, he would not go in blind. Number 5. The Kelvin Planet from By Any Other Name. He could contact the Kelvins, but now they want to get back to the Andromeda Galaxy so that 600 years from now, the Kelvins can invade our galaxy. Not very likely. Number 6. The Planet from Return to Tomorrow. So, there is this planet out there that Spock would know of, with the last 3 surviving members of a race that likely colonized Vulcan and maybe Argilius, as I outlined in a previous video I will link in the description. He would need to get to the chamber, which Sargon could help him with. If anything, Sargon would have the power to defeat Nero, as mentioned in planet number 3. I mean, the biggest problem is Sargon, Thalassa, and Hednock are still holding on to the idea of returning in android bodies. The worst variable is Hednock, who has no intention of using an android body. Spock could explain to Sargon what is going on with Hednock and decide to kill him. This would mean that Sargon and Thalassa would try to build android bodies. I'd love to see where that goes, since now Sargon does not have Hednock to show him why they have to pass into oblivion. And our 7th and final planet is the planet in the Omega system called Holberg 917G. From Requiem of Methuselah. The last planet I have on my list is Holberg 917G, which was where Flint, the oldest living human, is. Now, the most interesting thing is, he is working on androids to try and find the perfect love that is as immortal as he thinks he is. Now, Spock would know that Flint is dying since he left Earth, and he would also know about the android technology. When Spock explains to him everything, I think the two could be friends. And he even helped Sargon and Thalassa get an android body. Oh my, did I just come up with a new fanfic? Old Spock goes to Sargon and convinces him to kill Henoch, and then goes to Flint and explains everything to him. Flint then helps make 2 android bodies for Sargon and Thalassa. Then the 3 go off to the time machine and send out a fake distress signal to lure the Kelvin away from the encounter with Nero. After that, Spock, Sargon, and Thalassa use Sargon's power to kill Nero, thus restoring the timeline.